Hey everyone, real quick before this episode starts, usually I'll have screenshots of the episode as I'm talking about it so you can follow along if you haven't watched it, but today I have an exam and I need to really study for it, so I don't really have a lot of time to edit together a good video. So for this one, there's not going to be any screenshots to watch as you listen to the episode. Sorry about that. Anyways, on to the review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 111 of the Sun and Moon anime just dropped, and Meltan is finally in the anime. Usually, for a mythical like Meltan, they would usually give it its own movie, and it wouldn't show up in the anime for a while. But for this one, I'm glad that they decided to go a different route. How was the episode? Well, let's find out. The episode begins with a tiny recap from last episode reminding us that when Ash and the gang left Pony Island, Meltan were in the boat with them, albeit in the ship's cargo hold. Now, they've landed on Melee Island, and we've seen that the Meltan are now in someone's storage room, ravaging and eating all the metal they can. They even fight over pieces of bolts, which leads them to some slapstick. This actually leads to one of them landing on top of a sewer lid. Don't question why there's a sewer lid inside of a storage room, but when one Meltan gets excited about it, the other Meltan jump in and start eating the metal before they fall through the lid. Then, when the rest of the Meltan in the storage room try to figure out where the other Meltan went, they accidentally shove each other down the hole as well. The Meltan then start heading down the pipe and come across another pipe, but this one contains an Alolan Rattata. Both the Rattata and the Meltans look at each other for a while, and then the Meltan pretend to play dead, only to start running when the Rattata cries out. This splits the team of Meltan into half, as one group goes one way and the other group goes the other way. This little segment was awesome. Sun and Moon has been awesome during these type of moments. I really think Pokemon has always been good in doing these type of Pokemon to Pokemon only scene, but before it was only used in things like the Pikachu short. Now that the series has a different style of art and animation, they can do it more often, and it is really fun seeing just Pokemon interact. Walking along the sewer, Group A, as I'll refer to them as, spot an exit, and they start peeking through the sewer lid, and then we see James, Meowth, and Wobbuffet walking down the street. Seems like they've come from some sort of hardware store where they got these nuts and bolts for cheap. They fall over, and that's where the Meltans see that they had the nuts and bolts, before picking them back up and carrying the box to their food truck. So, the Meltans see them, run towards the back of the truck, open the back door, and get inside the truck. Group B, on the other hand, is still walking through the sewer when they come across a Magneton, and no joke, they try to eat the Magneton. I mean, the episode itself plays it off as no big deal because the Magneton just uses an electric move of some sort to get them off. But when you really think about it, imagine a bunch of humans jumping on you to try to eat you. That would be gruesome. It's the same thing here. We then cut to the Team Rocket hideout where Jessie looks inside a fridge and finds a dessert that Meowth has apparently hidden there. I forgot to mention, by the way, but it's been so long since we've seen Team Rocket. I'm actually glad that they've been gone for a while because this episode feels special with them in it. Meowth comes up and sees Jessie and immediately thinks there's something suspicious. James, on the other hand, is putting down his boxes with what he believes are his nuts and bolts, but it's just a bunch of Meltans laying on their side. James even questions if he did bring this much stuff because it's heavier than he thought. However, Meowth then looks at the fridge and finds that his dessert is missing. Jessie tries to flip the script on him, asking him why he had hidden the dessert, but then Meowth spots it, so she tries to ask for half of it, and then James asks for some as well. As Team Rocket are arguing about the food, the Meltan leave the box that James put them in. We then cut to the Pokemon school where Kukui tells the class that today they'll be building electric appliances. Specifically, Softcleese built a Pokemon training machine, and it's basically like a hamster wheel for his Togedemaru. Our heroes fawn over it and talk about how they're going to use that as the base and make their own machines for their own Pokemon. We see what I'm pretty sure is the Group B Meltan. Following the sewers, they end up in the Ultra Guardian base where Clefable is just cleaning up. They see the shiny metal technology in the room and starts going towards it to eat it. Just then, however, Clefable spots them and starts freaking out. It runs over to them and, no kidding here, starts violently stomping on this. This caught me so off guard that I burst out laughing. Seriously, when is the last time you've seen a Pokemon stomp on another Pokemon? It chases them around the room for a while until Meltan loses Clefable and they're all grouped up on the elevator that leads to the classroom above. The elevator activates and they're sent upstairs to the classroom. In the classroom, the Meltan spot all of Sophocles' tool on the toolbox and start going ham on them. Somehow, no one even notices. So you're telling me that they were so engrossed in dissecting Sophocles' machine that not a single one of them heard the bookshelf get moved? Sure, I can buy it. Sophocles then asks Ash for a ring spanner, but Ash keeps giving him the wrong tools until Lana gives him the correct wrench. He then asks Lily to find bolts to go with it, and she picks up a Meltan and brings it to him. All of our gang are surprised since they've never seen something attached to the bottom of it, and they start poking around and pulling on the thing until Meltan eventually has enough and uses flash cannon. This causes the group to kind of freeze for a while before they realize it's a Pokemon. Rotom even says he doesn't even have any info on this Pokemon. Sophocles looks at the bucket where his tools once were and sees the group of Meltan. Our heroes are all looking at it when Lana's Eevee starts bumping the bucket with them in it over and over. This causes the Meltan to get upset and line up all together to attack Eevee with a massive flash cannon. Luckily, Ash quickly has Pikachu use Electro Web to protect Eevee, so they figure if you provoke this thing, it will attack. Kiawe then says that since he works on a farm, he knows how to deal with wild Pokemon and starts talking to the Meltan like a child, petting them, but this is annoying the Meltan and he gets shocked for his effort. Sophocles then notices that all of his tools have been eaten and they wonder if this was the Meltan. To confirm, Ash hands the Pokemon the wrench he had in his hand and they start eating it to prove their suspicion. They start to question its feature, like its cable-like tails, its floating eyes. So to test why their eyes are floating, Sophocles decides he wants to use an electromagnet, one from the machine he bought, to test it out. He turns it on and sure enough, because they're steel type, they behave like magnets and stick to the machine. Kiawe's Marowak then lights his bone and starts dancing towards the Meltan, a welcome dance as Kiawe calls it, and at first the Meltan are intrigued and they get close to the Marowak, but then they can't handle the heat from the fire so they scatter from the room out the balcony. Who's that Pokemon? It's Meltan! Back to Team Rocket, and it seems they've split the dessert so everyone gets a piece, even if they're not all happy with it. Jessie then asks James if he bought the parts they asked for, and as he's about to show her, James notices that his bolt collection is gone. Not only that, their metal net gun is also destroyed. They hear the cries of the Meltan and start looking around for it. The Meltan are sneaking around the room and they spot a chest. When they open it, it contains James' bottle cap collection and they start going ham on it. We then hear James scream bloody murder as he loses his mind and notices some of his bottle caps are destroyed. He desperately searches for his most valuable piece and sees that it's been partially destroyed as well. We then hear them inside something and James rips open this metal pad and in the middle of the room and notices the Meltan all sleeping. He picks up one of them and starts yelling at it, asking if it's the reason why his bottle cap was destroyed when it uses flash cannon, freaking out the rest of Team Rocket and causing the Meltan to escape the hideout. Back to the Pokemon school and everyone is searching for the Meltan. We then see one particular Meltan climb back up to the classroom. It notices Ash's sleeping Rowlet. Seeing it sleep causes the Meltan to want to sleep. However, the Rowlet wakes up and is kinda surprised to see the Meltan in front of it. The Meltan turns around and gets freaked up by the awake Rowlet and literally loses his head, causing it to go flying down. It looks like a Merker is about to pick it up when all of a sudden, Rowlet swoops in and saves it and gives its head back to the Meltan. The Meltan adorably starts crying to thank it, which is actually disturbing since its tears look like its eyeballs. But regardless, Ash's Rowlet flies back into Ash's backpack, probably to sleep. Back to Group A, and they're being chased by Team Rocket, and they get trapped. James looks like a madman. He's really upset that they destroyed his bottle cap collection. Even they realize, Team Rocket that it's a new species of Pokemon, so each of them have their own reason to want to fight it. James sends out his Marini, but it just jumps on his head. Jessie tries to use Shadow Ball with Mimikyu, but since it isn't a Pikachu, it doesn't really even try that hard. Marini then uses Spike Cannon, and Meowth tries to catch the Meltan in a net, but the Meltan use Flash Cannon to destroy the net. Just then, the Meltan are about to blast them with another massive Flash Cannon when Beware comes in and tanks the hit. Beware scares the Meltan away when Meowth says he wants to go after them. However, Beware picks them up and starts heading back home, with the Stuffle spanking the Meowth, which is also pretty disturbing. back to the school, and Pikachu spots the Meltan heading towards the bell tower of the school. They climb up there and they're all lined up. Our heroes are all wondering what they're doing there when it tries to eat the bell, causing Komala to ring the bell really hard. This then causes them to rapidly spin their head and resonate. The other Meltan hear the sound and start responding to them, causing the Meltan to leave the balcony towards Group A. So now both Group A and Group B are reunited. Even though the Meltan left, Kukui's happy because Rotom got a lot of data on them. They all go back into the classroom and it's the end of the day. Ash picks up his backpack to head home. Back at home, he's talking to Professor Oak about this new Pokemon that they found. Rotom sends Professor Oak the data on the Pokemon and he's really intrigued and thanks them for the data. We then see Ash's Rowlet going back to sleep, beside him a Meltan. The rest of the Meltan also, on the other hand, have gotten together in the Ultra Guardian base, and this time they're not eating anything, so Clefable doesn't stomp on them, but is rather sighing like, ugh, what am I gonna do with you? And that's the end of the episode. The after credit scene is Team Rocket putting their base back together as James grieves over his loss of bottle caps. Poor James. I really like this episode. Plot-wise, nothing crazy happens beside the introduction of a new Pokemon, but I really love the slapstick humor on this episode. Just seeing how the Meltan interact with the world is great to see, especially since this is a brand new mythical Pokemon, and if Ash gets one and gets to use it on his Pokemon League, I would be excited to see how it's gonna do in battle. Overall, it was a fun episode where it really did feel like we're learning about a brand new species of Pokemon, and for that, I appreciate it. The next episode seems to be about Meltan losing the nut on its head and trying to find it, as well as trying to replace it with different things. It'll probably focus on Meltan and Rowlet, so for that, I'm pretty excited. But anyways, that's it for my Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 111 review. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at TheRealPDGaming, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.